Culture is deep and it's enduring. Climate measures the organizational temperature. Culture regulates it. Climate is dependent upon present circumstances. Culture withstands present circumstances. We're going to go through some ups. We're going to go through some downs. We're going to weather it.
Today's episode is taken from the Alabama Football Coaches Association Clinic from January. And in this one, head coach at Kentucky, Mark Stoops, shares what their culture is and how he builds it. The lineup from Alabama was outstanding. It featured three high school coaches, Dave McKinney, Jeff Kelly, and Kevin Creasy. And then head coach from Virginia Tech, Brent. Head coach from Auburn, Bryant. Head coach from Mississippi State, Mike Leach. Mark Stoops, as I've mentioned, and then of course the head coach of Alabama, Nick Saban. The entire clinic replay is available on CoachTube, and I'll link that in the show notes. I really enjoyed this talk from Coach Stoops. Unfortunately, as the clinic went along, we had some issues when we were recording it with the microphone, so I only share the first half of his talk here, but there's some great takeaways from it. I know you'll enjoy it and get something from it. So here's Coach Mark Stoops on how they create their culture.
But the first thing somebody talked about is the situation we walked into. A lot of you are starting new programs, go to new programs. Coach Summey's walking into that. What's the situation? Identify what you're at, what you got going on, and what you need to do. The things we talked about, and we constantly talk about them, are build, select, and develop. Build a winning culture. Everybody talks about that, right? Everybody talks about it. What is that? What does that look like? But constantly for us, we're trying to improve. We're trying to build. We're trying to, get better coaches, get better facilities, get better players, but really constantly work on our players. And as John mentioned, just develop them, get them better. Select. As we get better, our selection gets better. We could identify who we're selecting to be a part of our team and a part of our culture, and then development. Once they get there, how are you developing them? How are you getting them better? I'm going to show you some very specific things that we do to help develop our players. Everybody talks about culture. What is it? Climate versus culture. It's easy to change a climate. You walk in, you get a fresh set of unis. Believe me, I did it. I wanted to change that stuff we looked like, back in 2012 when we lost to 40 and there was 5,000 people in our stadium the year before I got there. I wanted to change that in a hurry, but that's that's a climate change, so culture is deep and it's enduring. Climate measures the organizational temperature. Culture regulates it. Climate is dependent upon present circumstances. Culture withstands present circumstances. We're going to go through some ups. We're going to go through some downs. We're going to weather it. We're going to be able to withstand that. Positive climate follows success. A positive culture withstands success. Climate is much easier and it can come quickly. Culture change is hard and it takes a long time. Climate is a team's reaction to present events and circumstances, where a culture enables a team to respond to unforeseen events and persevere during difficult times. Because I can promise you, you coach this business and all of us sitting here are doing it. There's going to be some ups and there's going to be some downs. And the highs are going to be high and the lows are going to be beyond incredibly low. They're difficult. Climate leaders are reactionary by nature and prone to choose the quick fix based on short-term results. Culture leaders are intentional by nature and are willing to choose the difficult road that lasts to lasting impact. And, that's big. And so for us, and I'm going to go through the ones on the right, but if you look on the left, it's essentially you're going to define what you are, who you are, what you want to look like. Recently, I went through an OC change. Before I talked to anybody, I said, what do I want to look like? What do I want to be? What do I think we can be at Kentucky? Before I just went out and hired a name. I wanted to see what I wanted to be, define it. Discovery, what are we? As I was saying what I wanted to be, I had to take a good hard look at what I thought we could be, right? What are the good things we're doing? We're playing good defense. We're physical. We're running the hell out of the ball. We're doing good things. Where were we falling short? Play, action, pass, passing game. You know what I mean? Just different things to help take us to another level. So again, you have to define it, you have to discover, and then you have to develop. And I'll touch on these points. You know, the first thing is compose your coaching philosophy. Who are you? Again, what I just talked about. What do you want to be? What's your organization about? Build your vision. Big thing. You know, this was me. This is me, and I change these year to year. Mission, to help student athletes be successful on and off the field, to bring pride and spirit to our institution, our fans, and our state by competing with class and winning with character. What's our desired future? That's what I want to look like. I want energy. I want diplomas. I want excitement. I want a pride. I want a swagger. I want a blue-collar mentality. All right, that's what I want. What are our core values? Who are we? We're going to play with attitude. We're going to have toughness, discipline, and pride. What are our guiding principles? Again, attitude. I talk about attitude every day with our players. You're going to affect somebody in a positive way or a negative way the minute you walk in the door. So you better bring us the attitude, give us your best, and be consistent. No shortcuts, do the right things, and treat people the right way. Draft your R4s. Big thing here. Roles, responsibility, routine, rhythm. The man you're going to listen to tonight, later, I mean, I think, you know, just as a coach watching greatness, I don't know Coach Saban that well. I mean, can't say like my brother has. I know people that work with him. But, I mean, that's a man with a rhythm. There's a routine. Everything he does has a reason, and extremely disciplined. As coaches watching other coaches and learning things, I could promise you, without knowing him much, I could promise you he's on that. There's a routine that everybody in this building knows what he's going to do, what they're going to do every day, all year. And I think it's extremely important. That's with us the same thing. You know, what's the routine? What's the rhythm? What's the role? Know your role. Do your job. You know, what's our routine? What are the players expecting? What's a Monday going to be like? Not everything's up and down. It's extremely smooth over 9 years going on 10 for us. But I think it's extremely important and undervalued at this point about, again, knowing the roles, your responsibility, but routine and rhythm. Establish team standards, rewards, and consequences. Describe the ideal, you know, the ideal athlete. What do we want the ideal athlete to be at the University of Kentucky?
I'm trying to push the young guys to the breaking point. I'm trying to get them to be 100% because I got told when they first got here, y'all not here at redshirt. Y'all not here to sit out 2 years so the older guys can leave. Y'all here to take a starting spot, and I implicate that on them every practice to go hard, to push the person in front of you, to take that person's spot. Like if I got a freshman behind me, I'm telling him to try to take my spot. I don't care if I've been here for 4 or 5 years. We're not just doing like little band works or nothing. We're really lifting weight. And I feel like, you know, we all got our strength to back up, you know, so that keeps us, you know, real physical, and we work out and we go hard in here. They've been in this situation before. I'm not the first person they ever coached or first person to ever be around that projected high or had a caliber of player such as I did. So I wanted to bug them and see how guys went along when they were around them and how they, you know, handle things. And having Coach Stoops there and Coach White here and Coach House, you know, also was just awesome. I learned a lot from all three of those guys, and on and off the field, and how to, you know, carry myself as a pro now and be the best player I can be. What do I got to do to play? Okay, special team. I was on special team. Okay, I'm on the field. I told Farrell, I said, Farrell, and I remember all of that. I was like, Farrell, I'm going to play with you. Like, we're going to be on the field together, like, playing. And I was my freshman year. Okay. Sophomore year, I want to be an all-SEC player. Or I want to, I told myself, I want to start. Like, I'm going to start my sophomore year. Like, I don't care. I'm going to start. I ended up being out the person in front of me, and I started. Junior year, going in my junior year, I was like, I want to be an all-SEC player. I want to be an All-American. Okay, and I knew the All-American was, like, a little out of reach, but, like, you know, never know. You know, I just told myself, I said, at least I want to be all-SEC. Ended up being all-SEC. Senior season, I said I wanted to be the best. I want to be the best defensive player in the country. I want to be because I would say I want to be All-American. I want to be an All-SEC player. The future's bright. The future it's real bright for the University of Kentucky. We had a lot of guys last year that contributed a lot and that's now becoming the leaders now. And I see a lot of leadership forming on the defensive, offensive side. I see a lot of guys that's committed to being great and want to keep their university great. And I feel like the future is real bright. I feel like Kentucky's going to be a household name in the years to come. I love playing for Coach Stoops. He's hard on you, but it's not a get in your face, treat you like dirt type of angry. It's more of a motivate you to get the best person you can, and respect I have for that man as a person, as a coach, and as just a human being. He's just awesome to be around.
That's the ideal athlete for us. But again, everything changes. So, for us, if you look at the bottom line there for us, we're going to recruit everybody. The talent we're looking for is going to be there. Obviously some greater than others, but the talent has to be there to compete in the SEC and for us to go to the next step. I just mentioned there's two teams in the SEC that had more wins than us this year. We want to gain on them. How we got to do it? We got to improve the talent level, but we also got to close the gap and improve them any way we can. So that's kind of our bottom line. You look at the left over there, poor fit. We don't want that guy. We don't want him, the guy that does not fit in our culture. Okay, all-in teammate. Sometimes those are the guys that like, yeah, coach, I'll run through the wall. I'll do this. I'll do that. Every one of you have them. And we're like, yeah, I need him. I want him, but I need Josh Allen too. I need somebody to help us win the SEC. So there's a fine line there. And then you got the ideal athlete up here. That's the Josh Allen. That's the guy, the first-round draft pick. That's the one who does it all. He affects himself. He affects others. He improves the team. The get-by athlete, that's the dude that has the talent but is afraid to be pushed beyond the core of the talent that he has. You know what I mean? I'm just talented. I've been talented. I haven't had to work hard. I'm not hungry. We're not interested in him either. But if we get him, we certainly better change him. And we can change him by some of these things we have here. All right? Here's, again, what we're looking for, talent. On the talent side, mental, physical, technical, tactical. Right here. On the behavior side, is he a good fit? Does he have personal drive, coachability, toughness, dependability, confidence? What kind of commitment does he have? I think it's in this world, what you're dealing with and what we're dealing with. We're dealing with name, image, and likeness. We're dealing with third party. We're dealing with a lot of different things. It's a subject that needs to be addressed. Again, the respect that I have for high school coaches is immense. To cut out that, the best advice I could say is to continue to build strong relationships and invest in these young men. Coach, somebody just said that to me a little while ago. We're having a cup of coffee, about getting off the road on Fridays, spending it with your players. I'm like, amen. Hopefully you got that from me, because a year or two ago or 3 years ago, we're in the office, we're driving up schemes, we're doing all this. I'm like, guys, get the hell out of here. Go downstairs, jump in the weight room with your guys. Get them to your house. Go home early. Bring them to your house and have dinner with them. Invest in them. Build relationships in them. And that's the closest way to stay connected as things become more complicated in all of our worlds. The only thing that I believe that could stop it, is your relationship with them. And but that's, our thing. And then on the other side, it's risk. I want to know the risks. If a coaches go out on the road and dive in and build relationships with you and come and bring it back and say, this person, here's his strengths, here's his weakness, coach, here's a red flag. Okay, fine. May take them, I may not. We could take a flyer or two if we feel like it's going to be great upside. If the upside isn't there, then I'm not sure I want to take a flyer. But I better know those things before we get into it. Some coaches, fortunately not we're us, because we're not like that. But some people are under pressure. They got to sign guys, so they're going to hide a red flag to get somebody in the door. Next thing you know, you got somebody in there that's not a good fit for your program. Nothing irritates me more than that. If somebody comes in and you're going to, put them in your bed and read your books and feed them your food, and they don't do anything for you. You know what I mean? That's not a good thing. The risk, the durability, ethical, academic side. Player assessments, big deal for us here. With your staff and with your players. Extremely important, extremely valuable. One of the best things we do I use a program that gentlemen that taught leadership at West Point. They know a couple things about leadership at West Point, and he's really helped me, brought some assessments, things I use, and we dive into that. It's not the, hey coach, give me a 5-minute check-in, gain weight, do this, do that. No, we dive into it. Hours and hours and hours we put into assessing players and showing it to them. And they assess each other, they assess themselves, and then we assess them. And then we go over it, and I'll show you some things we do to show them blind spots, because we all have them. Here's one of our assessments. The guy I just showed you, Josh Allen. As I mentioned, we beat Monmouth College on him. He developed into the 7th overall pick, he was a consensus national defensive player of the year, and coming in at 6'4", 6'5", 205 pounds, and it was a very hard recruiting battle with us in Monmouth College. But this was Josh's assessment, okay, down here. So if you look into Josh, this is prior to him going into his senior year, and the green over there means he was exceptional, that he thought he was doing everything as consistently and as high as he needed it to be. The white right there meant he was like average in that area. Over here, his peers saw it differently. They saw above average in one area, average, below average, average. His coaches saw it differently. Below average, average, below average, average, below, below, below. Okay, there's a blind spot there. So, we bring him in and give him his evaluation and go over everything. The way their peers see him, the way the coaches see him, and the way he sees himself, and we have a discussion about that. And again, it's extremely valuable to have that on paper, to talk about those things and go through that and to put it front and center right in front of them. And this is why. And then we have other techniques that'll give some more proof and some more data that I'll show you. But then this was him later. Now he saw himself as good but average in certain areas. All his players, his peers, thought he was exceptional, and his coaches changed. So when he took that information, he can just say, oh, to hell with you guys, man. I'm going to be a first-round pick anyway. I'm going to be a first-round pick. I don't have to take this medicine. I don't have to listen to the things you say that will take me to the next level. I'm already good. No, he said, all right, let me take this constructive criticism. Let's lay it out. We got some IDPs, some individual development plans I'm going to get into in a minute to just show him exactly how to help him, and let's get better. And it kind of takes me, this is another one, Bunchy Stallings. He became an All-American, but he saw himself this way. His coaches and peers saw him another way. Later, it switched to that. Amazingly, he became, maybe not just because of this, but one of the tools, became an All-American the next year after listening to some constructive points. Individual behaviors, part of this is when we have our evaluations, we capture behaviors. Coaches, you saw Johnny. Johnny, you were in the back of the line. You were dogging it. Everybody knows you were dogging it. You skipped out on one of those reps. We saw it.
Definitely some great takeaways and ideas from Coach Stoops on how they build the culture at Kentucky. The entire talk, along with those other talks I mentioned, are available on CoachTube in one course. You get all of those talks for one price. I'll put a 50% off code in the show notes, so be sure to use that at checkout to save and get that for half price. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you're enjoying it, please head over to iTunes and take a minute and click rate and hit 5-star, or if you have a minute, write a review. It helps the podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Coach K. Grabowski, and follow All We're Doing at coachandcoordinator.com.